Hello, everybody, and thank you so much for watching another episode of my show, Interviews with Entrepreneurs. Today, I'm very, very lucky to be speaking to Nicci Stewart. Nicci, please will you tell us a little bit more about yourself and about your business?
Hi, Melanie. Thanks for having me. It's really great to be here, and I'm very excited about this chat that we're having. So my business is called The Why Effect, and I started the business about 4 years ago. And the main focus of my business is to help entrepreneurs grow their businesses. And I do this in two ways. The one way is working as a consultant to existing businesses. So it's really, the focus is on businesses who are scaling, who are navigating all of the complexities around growing a business, and they need some help and support in getting through this. So I act as a strategic advisor. And the second way that I assist people is by helping people who are looking to start their own businesses, so making that transition from formal employment into entrepreneurship. And I really give them a base and some guidance and some tools that they can use. So it's basically as a coach to get them started, to get them up and running and help them build really great, successful businesses. So that's my business, and my passion is growing businesses and helping connect entrepreneurs to all of the opportunities that are available to them.
So if I hear you correctly, you work mainly on strategy.
That's right, yes.
Okay. And at the moment, I'm pretty sure there are a lot of people who are being retrenched from the corporate space and are looking to start their own thing because they don't have other options. So has your business kind of grown during COVID-19?
It's been quite an interesting space. So I started the Shift Your Job brand, which is the one that focuses on people who want to start their own businesses, towards the end of last year. And I've really kicked it off during COVID, putting out 7-day business sprints and ebooks to help people. So I wouldn't say it's grown yet, but there's a lot of foundation work and a lot of interest that's been put in place during COVID with people who specifically do find themselves in that situation where they either, as you say, facing retrenchment, or they've got a partner who's potentially whose job is under threat and they're looking to set up a side hustle, earn some extra money. So it's different areas, but I've definitely gotten a spike in interest during COVID and since we went into lockdown.
Okay. And what do you find normally prompts people to leave a corporate job? Because so in my personal experience, I've never really worked in corporate. I've always been self-employed. So it's kind of fascinating to me to see people who leave the security of a monthly income for the insecurity of being an entrepreneur. And what normally prompts that move?
So a lot of the time, the people that I work with who are leaving by choice, it's a desire for meaning. A lot of people just reach a point where they feel that, yes, they are earning good money and they've got the security of a job and all of those kind of things, but their lives just have no meaning. They want to make a contribution. They want to fulfill a purpose. They want to leave a legacy, for want of a better word. And I'm finding that's a massive driver for people to actually look at how can I do something different. So even if it is acting in a consulting capacity, so performing a similar role, but it gives them the opportunity to potentially create other jobs, to step back from the politics, but to actually leave an impact. I'm finding that's a very, very big driver for people.
That's so interesting because a lot of people think that money is the big driver for people, and it's very interesting to hear that meaning is actually what drives us. That's very interesting. And what excites you the most about your job?
I love watching things grow. It's like being a gardener in a way. When you, as much as there are frustrations as there are with everything, when I can look back on something that I've worked with somebody, because I love connecting with people and building those relationships, that's also something that gets me really excited. But when we can sit down and look at something and go, wow, we did this we got through all of those frustrations. We put our heads down. We did what we had to do. We yelled at each other. We screamed. We did our thing. And now we can actually sit here and go, look, these are the results. Your profits have grown, or your customers are happier, or your staff are happier, whatever the metric was, to actually sit back and go, wow, we did it. Aren't we amazing? That's what really, really gets me excited.
That's wonderful. And what are the typical frustrations that you deal with in these businesses?
I think a lot of the time, because I do work with small businesses, one of the big frustrations often is budget. Because, I'm not working with a corporate company, although I know a lot of corporates are cutting back on budget, but we want to implement a system or a change, and we either don't necessarily have the budget to do exactly what we want to do, or the resources. So you typically find, as I'm sure you know, in a lot of small businesses, people have to fulfill a number of roles. And often the owner themselves are fulfilling a number of roles and possibly doing things that they shouldn't be doing, but they just don't have the resources to fill those gaps. So things can sometimes take a little bit longer than what we hoped for. And that can often be a big frustration. And it's often where you can lose your way and go down some very strange paths that you don't need to go down. But I think that's sort of where I believe my role is as well, is to kind of stop that happening and bring that back and go, okay, well, so it's going to take a couple of months longer, but that's okay. And I think another big frustration that I do see with a lot of business owners, interestingly enough, particularly women, is they are their own worst enemies. They are capable of so many amazing things, but they hold themselves back because of lack of self-belief, imposter syndrome, I'm not capable of doing that. I can't expand my business overseas. It's too much. It's too big. I think that's a big, just on a more personal level, that's a big frustration for me.
That's a very interesting insight, and it actually comes out with a lot of people that I speak to, is that negative self-talk is very, very strong. What advice do you give to entrepreneurs who have that very strong internal narrative that's holding them back?
I think a lot of the time I would advise some sort of executive coaching, because as much as I do work as a business coach, I'm very clear that I focus on your business. I'm not qualified to work with you as an individual and with your mindset. So I would actually, if it got bad enough, I would actually encourage executive coaching to get that done. But I also find what does help is when you can show people that they have had successes and even small achievements that they have done, like you managed to do this and you didn't think you could, it does really encourage them and keep them going. And I think it's just the best that I can do is offer a positive voice and be a constant reminder. You've got your constant negative self-talk. I'm going to be your constant positive self-talk. We can do this. And I find role modeling also helps. Look at so-and-so. She did X, Y, and Z, and she was in the same situation as you, or, just giving those examples. I think just suddenly being a different voice and a different perspective does often help people get through that.
I love that. Do you feel we have enough good female role models in South Africa?
I think we do, yes. I think people need to look for them sometimes, because I believe it becomes too easy to showcase the people that you know, or the people that are familiar. So, when you look at people who are public speaking at events, it's often the same old, you often see the same faces. And I do think that a lot of the time, the really strong role models become almost untouchable, where they reach a point where I can no longer relate to you because you've become so much bigger. So your situation no longer applies to me. But I definitely believe there are a lot of really, really strong female role models that I know of out there. A lot of women of all color that have done incredible things in business. And it's not easy. You sort of have this perception, particularly in South Africa, where I can't do this because I'm not a level 1 BE company. Whereas I've worked with a lot of level 1 BE companies, and I know how hard those women or men slog to get the job done. So you're finding excuses now. So let's try and find people that are relatable and people that you can keep in touch with. But they definitely are out there.
Who do you look to particularly in South Africa?
A lot of, I don't know if I've just been very blessed to be surrounded by incredibly inspirational people, and they might not be, they're not well-known people, but they are people within my circle that I can relate to. My first client who actually helped me start this business and helped me get clear on what I was doing, a lady by the name of Ayandon Zondeki, who runs a company called Liema Consulting, and she's an incredible inspiration to me and an incredible role model. I just think she's done an amazing job, and she's built up an incredible team. There are a lot of women that I was part of the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Women program. There are a lot of women on there that I find incredibly inspirational. I'm working with a lady at the moment, a lady called Shawnice, who runs a company called Blue Flamingo, and she's built up an incredible digital agency across 6 African countries, and I'm working with her from South Africa. So there are women in my daily life that when I'm having those really, really bad moments, I believe Haley Joy Weinberg. She's one of my go-tos when I'm having a bad day because I find her incredibly, she's an incredible talent. She's this beautiful combination of creative and really strong business person. And she's had me crying on her shoulder more times that I can count. But I try and surround myself with people that I find inspiring and try and provide the same to them. I hope I do. But yeah, those are 3 that really stand out for me at the moment.
That's a lovely story. Yes, I was on a Facebook group the other day where somebody actually asked, who are your female business role models? And I was very interested to see that the people all listed kind of Oprah Winfrey, Brené Brown, and it was a very short list of very famous people who don't live in our country. And my response was that for me, the role models that I really think are amazing are the women who just have small, humble businesses like spaza shops and things like that, and yet they somehow find a way to persevere day by day.
Absolutely.
Because for me, that takes true grit, is to tough it out when you're not famous and you don't have all the stuff happening for you.
Exactly. Fully agree with you.
So what does your ideal customer look like?
From a consulting perspective, I generally target businesses who are sort of in the 20 to 30 million rand a year turnover plus, that are looking to scale, or they've probably got a team of 8 to 10 people already, but are really looking to take their company to the next level, whether that be within South Africa or overseas, or they really want to turn this business into something amazing. As I'm sure you've guessed, I do prefer working with women. So I generally work with, not exclusively, but I do work with a lot of women-owned businesses. So on a consulting side, that would be my ideal customer. And obviously from a shift your job perspective, it would be anybody who is looking to start their own company and doesn't really know, for whatever reason, but doesn't really know where to begin, and is looking for a little bit of guidance and accountability and just that sort of help.
It's quite interesting because you're working with big organizations and very small ones. There are not a lot of consultants who do that kind of crossover.
I think it just, for me, the core of my business is entrepreneurial growth, and whatever that looks like. And that was why I decided to actually transition into working with smaller companies and individuals, because there was a need. And it's also a lot of what I made a tremendous amount of mistakes when I started my first company, my communications business. And I didn't know what I was doing and where to begin. And I was floundering around for many years. And I just didn't want to see people in that position. And if I can be the one to go, you know what, here's an ebook or a 7-day business sprint that will help you get started, by all means. And if that's a value add and it's a free service and it's something that you take and run with, that's absolutely great. Just go and make a beautiful business. That's the most important thing to me.
So wonderful. I think it's really support that we can use in this country. I know that when I started out in business in the 1990s, there wasn't a lot available. And I find it interesting that you say you work mostly with women. Why do you think that is?
I honestly don't know.
Okay.
I think it's just what I attract.
Okay.
I'm part of a lot of women's networking groups.
Yes.
And so I think that has led to my circle becoming largely woman-owned businesses.
Okay.
And I always have to sort of say to people, no, it's not, I don't specifically work with women, but I am quite a strong feminist. So I'm very big on women's empowerment. And it just seems to be the sort of clients. I mean, I have worked with male-owned companies, so it's, you know, I'm not the man hating, I don't want to work with men at all. But I seem to move in those circles, and because of that, network mainly with women-owned businesses.
And I do think that it's a sector that really needs a little bit more love and attention anyway. So
Absolutely.
maybe it's just that you're working into where the need is greatest.
Absolutely.
And what advice would you give to a young entrepreneur starting out today?
I think the best advice that I could give, I mean, there really is no silver bullet, and it depends on the person and what they need. Purely from a business perspective, if you are in an existing business or you're looking to start out, you've got to sell. Get out there, sell your product, get in customers, and do it consistently. So many businesses say to me, or so many people looking to start their own businesses, like, oh no, I'm a brilliant IT person, I don't want to go out there and sell. If you're not selling, you're not in business. So that is something, get that sales funnel sorted out. And on a more personal note, I would say that, remember, entrepreneurship is, I read a quote once that said it's a personal journey, personal development journey that you get paid for. And it really is a constant learning process, constant evolving, constant growing. You've always got to know what's going on out there, developing yourself, becoming a better leader, a better salesperson, a better marketer, a better IT specialist, whatever your field of choice might be. But just constantly be learning and growing and pushing yourself as hard as you can, because you will see the results.
Now, I speak to a lot of entrepreneurs out there who say that they feel that their barrier is that they cannot access funding or grants or money or that kind of thing. What is your answer, your response to entrepreneurs who feel that that's what's holding them back?
I think, you know, I find funding a very interesting response because I can see it from both perspectives. But I've also come across so many businesses that have said, my biggest problem is I don't have funding. And it's like, no, you don't have cash flow. There's a big difference between funding and cash flow. If you need R1 million to develop an app or to buy assets to get your company going, that is funding. If you need money to pay salaries, that is cash flow. So firstly, learn what the difference is. And then I think from a funding perspective, there are a lot of opportunities out there. But one of the big challenges is that businesses or business owners, you need to make sure you have got all of your ducks in a row, that you're approaching the right people, that you know who you should be speaking to at which stage of business. So you've got to do your homework on that. You know, if you early stage startup, you need to go to your angel investor type funder. You need to know who you should be speaking to, and make sure you're speaking to the right person. And then you've got to make sure your business is investable. Is it scalable? Are your financials in place? Are all your systems and processes working? Because remember, if I'm going to give you money, however much money it is, I need to know that my money is safe, that it's being well used, and that and this is the thing that most people don't want to face, if something happens to you tomorrow, will your business be able to keep operating? Which a lot of businesses don't, because the owner is so heavily involved in the business. So you've really got to step back and look at your business objectively and do your homework, do your research, and make sure that you actually are in a position to get funding. And a lot of the work that I do with the bigger companies is around creating a business, what I call a sellable business, which makes it investable. If the owner does want to step back, it means they are in a position to sell it. Or even if the owner wants to work in it for the rest of their lives, at least they know that they have created that legacy.
That's such valuable information. Thank you so much. I think a lot of entrepreneurs who say they want funding really don't understand what they're asking for.
Exactly.
Yeah. So where do you see your business in 5 years' time?
I'm really hoping to grow my overseas network. So that's one of the big things that I'm working on at the moment, to look at building stronger and better connections between South Africa and South African-based businesses and places like Europe and the UK and the States to really help our local businesses expand and start operating outside of the market. So that's really one of my big focuses at the moment, is to create those connections and get proper programs up and running between countries. And so that's my big goal. I'm also looking to go international.
Oh, that's awesome. That's exciting. That's very exciting. So, Nicci, I see that we are coming near to the end of our time. Do you have any closing comments for anybody who's watching?
I think the parting thought that I would like to leave people with is just to go for it. Be brave, believe in yourself. This isn't an easy journey, but nothing worthwhile doing is easy. Have faith, do what you need to do to keep yourself motivated and keep yourself going. But my mantra is be brave, because right now the world needs brave, strong leaders, and everybody is capable. I know not everybody can be a leader, but everybody is capable of being a leader in their own small way. But it takes guts. So just be brave.
Oh, that's an awesome message. Thank you. And if anybody would like to get hold of you, how can we do that? Where will we find you on the social networks?
Well, the best place to find me is on LinkedIn. It's just as Nicci Stewart. I'm very active on LinkedIn. I do have a Facebook page at the Y Effect, which is my company name. Or people can get me on my website, which is theyeffect.com.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing your time and your wisdom with our audience today. I appreciate it very much.
Thank you, Melanie. Thank you for having me. This has been wonderful. It's been great chatting to you.
Yay.